What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to DarkLords. That's right, so again, this is one of the decks that just has absolutely outstanding artwork, but unfortunately has kind of been left by the wayside and hasn't received a lot of support. I think the last lot of support it received was this guy right here, the first DarkLord, which is absolutely incredible for the deck, but it just needed a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through this profile, show you this update, explain why we've got it, what we've got for it, and just how the deck operates in general. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So starting off with your main cards for the entire deck, technically your starter in the form of DarkLord Yugioh, and we're just going to show this off, comboed off with Superbia. So for those of you unfamiliar with the DarkLord strategy, the way it's going to work is most of your DarkLords, more so the more recent ones in the form of Yugioh, Nashten, Umdusk and all the others, have the effect that you pay 1,000 life points to target a DarkLord spell or trap in the graveyard. You apply that target's effect and then shuffle it into the deck. And the best thing about it is because it applies the effect, it works out like transaction rollback where you don't pay the cost of that spell or trap you target, and it can be used multiple times because that card itself says it cannot be activated, but you're only activating the effect. So basically what it means is you can activate something like a DarkLord spell or trap on the field and then activate it again by using the Yugioh effect or applying the effect. So the reason that Yugioh is your starter is you get to discard this card and one DarkLord card to draw 2 cards. And the reason that you use it with Superbia is when this is special summoned from the graveyard, you get to target a fairy type monster in your graveyard, accept itself, and special summon it. So the idea is that you can activate something like your DarkLord Contact, and this will revive the Superbia you've discarded off the Yugioh, and then Superbia brings back the Yugioh. So you've got a 2-for-1, and obviously Yugioh is ideally drawn into everything. And then once you get Yugioh back, you can then use this effect to pay 1,000 life points to then put this card back into the deck, and then special summon back another DarkLord, which is really important. So we're playing both of those maxed out at 3. We've then got 2 Nashten. Now, arguably you can play this at 3, but the reason I've cut this to 2 is because we are playing ones of some of the others, which I'll talk about in a second. So Nashten has the exact same effect that during either player's turn you get to pay 1,000 life points to target a DarkLord spell or trap in the graveyard, apply that target's effect, and then shuffle it into the deck. Unfortunately, the same with Nashten and Yugioh is they can only be special summoned once per turn, so you can't special summon 2 Yugiohs in a single turn. And the way that Nashten works is you discard 2 other DarkLord cards to special summon this card from the hand. So it's a nice little extender, but you ideally want to be discarding your spells and traps, or mainly your traps off of the Nashten. So you can start applying your traps turn 1 by using Nashten's effect, Yugioh's effect, and you can even use the Testable Poker's effect as well. So this is another one of the ones that if a DarkLord monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by a Battle card effect, you get to discard this card instead. But during either player's turn, again, you pay 1,000 life points, target a DarkLord spell or trap in your graveyard, apply the effect and shuffle it into the deck. Then, of course, we do have the one Zerato. Now, you don't actually have to play the Zerato. You can take this out for the Amdisk, or you can play it for any of the other kind of big boss monsters that are the DarkLords. But this one is if you have 4 or more Dark monsters with different names in the graveyard, you get to tribute summon this monster by tributing 1 Dark monster rather than 2. And you can also send a Dark monster from your hand to the graveyard to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. And if you activate this effect, you destroy this card during the end phase of the turn. Now, very rarely, if you activate that effect, you should be pushing for game anyway. And if you don't, you can just link this off or XYZ it off if you need to. And then, of course, we've got the one that has probably got the best artwork around, in my opinion, and that's the DarkLord Morningstar. So it cannot be special summoned, big sad. So it does need to be normal summoned by tributing 2 monsters, which is great because you do have Condemned DarkLord, which is a great card for the deck, which we'll talk about when we get to the extra deck. If this card is tribute summoned, you get to special summon DarkLord monsters from your hand and or deck up to number of effect monsters your opponent controls. So obviously only going to be that effective going second. While you control another DarkLord monster, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. And then once per turn, you get to send this card from the top of your send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, equal to the number of DarkLord monsters on the field. And if you do, gain 500 life points for each DarkLord card sent to the graveyard by this effect. Now, this is obviously quite important because you will be seeing that you're going to be paying 1,000 life points with a lot of your DarkLord effects, or your DarkLord spells and traps, and your DarkLord effects as well. So keep that in mind. Then moving on to another one of your main starters, and that is, of course, Indulged DarkLord. Now, the reason this one's so good is if it is normal or special, you get to take 2 DarkLord monsters from your deck hand. 2 monsters from your hand or deck with different levels except itself and special summon one to your opponent's field in defense and then add the other to the hand. You cannot activate monster effects for the rest of this turn except fairies, so you do need to keep that in mind. But the idea is you'll get to add an Yugioh to your hand and you're going to give your opponent a Copernicus. And then by doing during the main phase, you get to activate this effect, tribute a fairy monster face up, and if this is sent to the graveyard, you get to make all monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense for each fairy monster on the field until the end of the turn. Now the idea is you're going to be giving this to your opponent, and the benefit of giving this to your opponent is it means it instantly shuts out imperm, so they will need to imperm the indulged early doors. It also shuts out evenly, lightning storm, and if they are monotype, lockdown, so stuff like ostinato gets locked out, and if they can't utilize this card in any way whatsoever, that really does cause them issues. So the reason you only play one of it. Another one that you could play around with is the Ukobak. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I wanted to keep trying it at 1, but this could very easily become one of your bigger monsters. The reason this is good is if it is normal special, you get to send any DarkLord card from the deck to the graveyard, and the reason that's important is that's when you can start sending your DarkLord spells and traps. So speaking of our DarkLord spells and traps, we are playing triple banishment of DarkLords. So you get to add a DarkLord card from the deck to the hand except itself, and you only get to activate 1 per turn. Now, obviously it's a hard activate once per turn, but you're applying the effect and not activating the effect when you are using cards like Yugioh and Nash 10 to spin it back. We've already talked about Contact, and like this is what I'm saying about the artworks. Just look at these artworks on these cards. Like they're absolutely amazing. Like this one has obviously got, I believe it's Nasten making its way up to heaven. Obviously it's heaven and hell. You got like an Aztec pyramid, and then this one, Banishment. Just look at the artwork on that one. So that's the Imdusk, and then obviously you've got the Divine Punishment from the sky. This is all obviously heaven and hell. You've got Morningstar, which is of course Lucifer, and then you'll also see in some of the card effects, some of the card arts, you'll start seeing shadowy figures that look like Judgment, which is obviously the man on Judgment is portrayed as God. So free of the banishment, free of the contact. Obviously contact is a monster reborn. And then playing free Allure for the draw card. Now you can very easily play Upstart if you want to. I know some people play Desires if you want to. It really is up to you. You just don't really want to be playing anything like Prosperity because you're going to be drawing off your Yugioh anyway. And then for the trap cards, we're playing the one Rebellion. Like, look at this. Look at the artwork. Just look at the artwork, man. Like, this is Morningstar battling the guy from Judgment, Lucifer, God, and then it gets banished down to Earth, wherever it's just gone. Banishment of DarkLords. Like, are you following along? Going straight down and leaving you with Morningstar. Like, love that. Absolutely love that. This is what the artwork of, like, Yu-Gi-Oh card should be. Anyway, punishment is you send a DarkLord monster from your hand or face off on the field to the graveyard to destroy 1 card on the field, non-target. But again, you can spin this back into the deck and then you don't need to send the DarkLord, you just pay 1,000 life points instead. And then enchantment, again, love the purple behind this one as well. The artwork really does pop. So this one is you send a DarkLord monster from the hand or face on the field to the graveyard, take control, non-target of a face-on monster your opponent controls into the end phase. Now again, if these are in your graveyard, you don't need to be sending, you just need to use 1,000 life points and spin it back into the deck through your effects like Yugioh and of course Nasten. So that's it for like the DarkLord focus cards. Now moving on to the generic board breakers, your generic plays. Now you can play something like Fenrir if you want to, but I decided to go with Super Poly because you do have the space in the extra deck and you can actually Super Poly when you're giving your opponent a Dark Fairy. You can actually use that as your Super Poly follower to get you into a first DarkLord, which is really important. For the hand traps, of course, we're in a 15 hand trap format or as many as you can possibly fit into a deck. Triple Ash, double Ogre, triple Imperm, followed up by a Talents and a Call By. You could probably play 2 Talents. Again, this is just something that these are pretty much staple, which is why they're in different seeds, because they'll just bounce around all of my decks right now. Sometimes I'll play 1, sometimes I'll play 2, depends if I'm playing Frost or not. But yeah, like, that's not the fun part of the deck. This is just we play these because we have to in this particular type of format, whereas the fun part is your DarkLords, which is all this right here. So moving on to the extra deck. Now the extra deck is where it becomes flexible and is entirely up to your opinion. But we start off with the first DarkLord. So it requires 3 Dark Fairy monsters. Your opponent cannot target Fairy monsters you control with card effects, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn, and only once that turn. So if this card is fusion summoned using DarkLord Morningstar's material, you get to destroy all cards your opponent controls. And then during the main phase, quick effect, pay 1,000 life points to special summon a fairy monster from your hand or graveyard into defense. It's a 4k attacker, 4k defender, but the idea is you can bring back an Yugioh, pay 1,000 life points, spin a card back. You'll also notice that I'm not playing the trap card that lets you fuse into the first DarkLord, and that's purely because I'm relying on Super Poly a little bit more so, just because it gives you that balance of breaking boards as well. However, if you do want to be utilising that trap card, because it does allow you to fuse with your hand and or field, whereas Super Poly only lets you fuse with the field, then you're probably going to want to be considering to put that in, because you can Foolish Bury it, and it allows you to fuse your monsters, so entirely up to you. For the others, we've got the 2 Super Poly targets of Garura and Mud Dragon, standard on that one. For the XYZs, we've got the Rail Cannon for the burn damage into Lebel, but keep in mind that if you use the combo off of the Indulged, you're not going to be able to use non-fairy effects that turn, so you're probably going to be using this as a go first option, side it out for your go second options. Big Eye, and I went with the Harmonizer. The reason I went with Big Eye is obviously just steal an opponent's monster, rank up into a Typhoon if you want to play Typhoon. But the Harmonizer I actually went with as a nice kind of like DD Crow-esque effect, because you detach a material and then attach a monster from your opponent's graveyard to this card as material. And I just thought that was kind of a cool little aspect that could be quite useful. For the links, you've got the one IP Masquerena, we've got the one Protector of the Agent Moon. So this one is, if it's link summoned, you get to send a Sanctuary in the sky, which you're not going to be doing. The one effect you're going to want to rely on is you can get to tribute a fairy monster to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. I really wish this would have been a quick effect, but the best thing about it is if your opponent's playing something like Skill Drain, you can actually just tribute off the agent as cost and then pop the Skill Drain and it'll still resolve, because obviously it's in the grave as it's resolving. Dark the Dark Charmer, and then 2 Condemned DarkLords. Love this card. Again, so this is the Forbidden Chalice lore. So you've got Forbidden Chalice, Lance, I think it's like Apocrypha, and you've also got the Forbidden Droplet as well, so you'll recognise the artwork of this card. 2 fairy monsters. You get to tribute summon fairy monsters that require 2 tributes by banishing 2 monsters from the graveyard instead of tributing, so that's how you can get Morningstar very easily. On top of that as well, you get to take 1 DarkLord monster from your deck and either add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard by discarding 1 card, and you can only use each effect once per turn. And then during your end phase, gain 500 life points for each fairy monster on the field. So again, it allows you to recoup your life points that you're going to be burning through, but the fact that it can just help you search out a DarkLord monster as well is absolutely insane, because that's how you can get to Morningstar. You would obviously then banish your 2 DarkLords that you've used to make this, summon down the Morningstar. Morningstar, if your opponent has monsters, can spawn more monsters. But the idea is you've got DarkLord, Morningstar on the board, so that when you do use Super Poly or fuse into this guy, you'll get the board destruction effect as well. And then your standard SP, Nightmare Unicorn and Appaloosa. So IP into SP, IP into Unicorn. Obviously, this is going to be happening during your opponent's turn, so you don't worry about being fairy locked. And then Appaloosa obviously being defensive during your opponent's turn, but it is also a fairy as well. So this is one of the very few cards you can actually make and then go, cool, I don't need to worry about Nibiru, because even though I have fairy locked myself, Appaloosa is a fairy, gets the job done for you. And that is pretty much it. So I really do like DarkLords. I think the artwork's absolutely insane. Unfortunately, they do have the nickname of Bricklords for a reason. You do play only high-level monsters in the DarkLord archetype, and even the new support that we did get isn't that great at helping you unlock that particular type of play, but it does give you ways of getting to Yugioh a little bit more consistently, which is quite nice. So that is pretty much it for the profile. Like I said, if you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But I thought this would be a nice little fun update that I haven't done for a while for a deck that I really do enjoy. And I feel that when a format gets to the end of the season, it's kind of nice to update these type of decks, because the new season, we never know exactly what's going to happen just yet. You've still got a ban list to take into account. You've got another new core set coming into play. And then you need to be looking at everything else. So I like to dust off some of my old favourites like this, and I'm going to be doing Burning Abyss for you guys later on as well, so that you can kind of see what it does, how it works, and just kind of help them dust off the self before, you know, maybe get some future support. Please, Konami. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.